Morning team, I wanted to make a juicing video for you guys. Juicing is something I've been doing off and on for probably about 2 years or so, and I finally jumped back on the bandwagon because when you juice and you get all those vitamins and minerals pushed into your system that quick, you feel incredible. I've actually cut coffee. This is day 2. I was drinking, got up to about 3 or 4 cups a day, which is too much for me. So I decided to cut that out, replace that with a juice. And I can tell you these last couple days I've been feeling incredible. So I'm going to share with you my favorite recipe, and I make this recipe every single day. It's a slight modification from the Mean Green recipe. If you guys have watched Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, you guys know which recipe I'm talking about. If you have not watched it, it's a powerful documentary about juicing, so go check it out on Netflix. So we're going to dive right into this. I'll show you guys the ingredients. Alright guys, so your ingredients are going to be 2 celery stalks, 2 Granny Smith apples, 1 cucumber, 1 beet, 1 lemon, a big chunk of ginger root, spinach, and kale. Now these, you can change the different quantities of each one depending on your taste and your liking. I find that this combination is it's extremely beneficial with all those dark greens, but it also tastes incredible because of that extra lemon and apple in there. So now all you have to do is chop up the vegetables so they fit inside of the juicer, depending on which style you have. Some juicers, the fancier ones, you can actually put like a whole apple, core and everything inside of it. The juicer I'm using is a Jack LaLanne, which is on the cheaper end. It was about $80 at Bi-Mart. So this one I chopped stuff up, not fairly thin or anything, but just enough to fit it in there, and it seems to juice pretty well. I'm going to show you a few tips on some of these vegetables, how I cut them, and a little tip with the spinach, which you can get a little more juice out of inside your juicer. Tip number 1, when you are cutting a lemon, what I do is I chop each end off, and you always want to put your fingers facing away, that way you don't accidentally cut them, and then I simply just go around the edge. It doesn't have to be perfect. There can be a little bit of rind still on there. That's what a juicer is for. It will take all that extra stuff off. So there you have it. That's a tip for a lemon. Now for ginger. This is a very potent root. It's going to have some spice to it. So if you can't handle spicy, you want to start with a very small chunk. This is about the size of chunk that I use. You can see it's about twice the size of my thumb. And this one gives it a good kick. Now for cutting the beet, I pretty much do the same thing as the lemon. I'm going to chop the bottom and the top, and because this is a root vegetable, it's very fibrous, so what you want to do is chop that into quarters. Now for the apples, you can cut these several different ways. You can even use one of those actual core cutters. What I do is I just take the knife and I just cut around the actual core of the apple. And then with these bigger chunks, I'll cut this in half as well. But like I said, if you have an upgraded or fancier juicer, you can throw in that entire apple. Alright, now for the fun part. One thing with the juicer I recommend doing is putting a plastic bag inside of the catcher, because then all you have to do is just tie the bag and toss it. You don't have to worry about cleaning that bin every single time. I also recommend using something a little bit bigger to catch the juice rather than a cup. A little bit cheaper juices like this, they don't have the mechanism inside the nozzle where it can make a nice smooth stream. Sometimes when you juice something, it might splatter out. So I highly recommend using something like this. We're going to dive right into this, and I'm going to show you guys the entire process that I do here. So what I do is I start with a cucumber, because you want something that's going to have a lot of juice, pretty much to lubricate the entire inside of the juicer. If you start with something like a beet or something that's very fibrous, you're going to kind of clog the system a little bit. Now, once I do that, I go in with the lemon and the ginger root. If I can find where I put the ginger. There it is. So, I do these two together second because the ginger and the lemon are pretty much what flavor this juice, and you want that flavor to be inside of there while you're putting the other veggies in. Drop those guys in. Alright, so now we're going to go into some spinach and kale, and here's a little trick you guys can use, because with cheaper juices they don't juice the leafy greens as well. So what I found is, what you do, turn this off, you're basically going to pack this thing, not super tight because the motor won't even turn on, so you drop an apple and you're alternating. Get a good chunk of this stuff here, pack that down a little bit. Another apple, so it's going to alternate, that way it's not pushing straight leaves through there. Alright, so now turn it back on. And you guys will see how dark this juice gets right here. This one's going to go a little slower because it's packed in there a little tighter. Mother Nature's medicine right there, my friends. Alright, so that's kind of the order that I do that in. Then you can really just pack in whatever you guys would like. No specific order after that. So when your juicer gets a little clogged, it will make that noise. It's usually going to catch inside of one of these areas here. Usually it will break free. You guys notice how that beet right there looks just like blood? Very deep in color, that deep red color, because it is extremely beneficial for your heart and your blood. Very detoxifying and purifying. So that is our juice right there. Let this finish draining. Alright, we're going unedited right now, so I can just go ahead and pour this into my cup. That makes exactly about 28 ounces of juice right there. Now this one's called the mean green, the base of the recipe, but because I added that beet, look how deep that color is. That's how amazing some of these root vegetables can be for your body. So there you go, folks. This thing took, from the time I took everything out of the fridge to the chopping to the juicing, that took maybe 5 to 8 minutes. Very quick, very efficient. The juicer is very easy to clean. All you do is pop stuff apart, rinse it underneath the water. You're good to go for your next one. Have fun, guys. See you later.